That's right, ladies and gentlemen, a fabulous lineup underway here. Day 3 International Home and Housewares Show. We're at the KitchenAid Cooking Theater. If you can hear my voice, we just had Andreas Wilhoff from right here in Chicago. Make some coffee. Now it's baking time. I love it. We have Chef Sandra Holl in just a few moments. Patty and Tom Erd, Chef Kat Kaur, Lainey Bayless, Chef Alex Gurnishelli, and Chef Will Brown will be joining us very soon. Again, all these fabulous devices you can find over at the KitchenAid booth, Lakeside Center, 12902. And if you have some time in between our fabulous chefs, check out these wellness mats and their booth of their latest and greatest from Wellness Mats 3359, including their brand new linen collection, 12 different colors to choose from. Great for any home kitchen, and they actually have their own line of wellness mat footwear. So make sure you get over there and see that. I'm not peak. Are you ready? I don't even think your mic is on. Is your mic on?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it is. You're hot.
I have a voice. We're going?
Are we ready? Are you ready?
I think I'm ready. I think I know where everything is. I have all my tools.
Trying to bring the kitchen to another kitchen and set up like that is pretty hard, right?
There's a lot of things, a lot of moving pieces here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get this show on its way. Our next presenter trained at the California Culinary Academy in San Francisco. She worked as a baker at the renowned Tartine Bakery, a contributor to Bon Appetit magazine, and nominated for Best Chef by Time Out Chicago. She's the head pastry chef of Florio Cafe and Bakery right here in Chicago. Please welcome Chef Sandra Holl.
Hello, good morning. Thanks so much for coming to see this. I'm going to demo a Pavlova this morning. So I love Pavlova because it's super whimsical. It looks like a cloud. It tastes like a cloud, but with lots of flavor. So it's a great dessert, possibly for Easter or any time in the spring before you have a lot of fruit, although it would be great with fruit as well. So we're going to jump right in with a lime cream. And so I've got some water already coming to a boil. We're going to make a bain-marie or a double boiler. So I've got this bowl here. We are going to dump in eggs. I've got 225 grams of eggs here. Lime juice, 175 grams. I hope everyone has a scale at home. There's no better way to bake than with a scale. So we get that mixed up a little bit. And then we're going to add a good pinch of salt. So in baking, I think people forget that salt is really important. Even if there's no salt in the recipe, I always say add a pinch. The flavors are going to be brighter. You're going to need less sugar, really, in the end, as I add 225 grams of sugar to this. So there's a good amount in here still. We're still baking. All right. With all that tart lime juice, you need sugar to temper that, or else everyone's going to be puckering at your party when they have dessert. So this is all mixed up, and we want this over boiling water or simmering water, and this is going to cook until it thickens. And that's going to take a little bit of time here. We'll keep an eye on it as we keep moving forward, but this is important to get it going right away. So we want to cool this down quickly once we're done. I've got a sheet tray in the freezer getting nice and cold. So once we're done making this, we're going to pass it through a chinois onto the sheet tray, put it back into the freezer so we can top our tart as quickly as possible. If you have lots of time, you don't have to do that. You can put it in the fridge. I've got another pot boiling here, and we're going to make the meringue. So meringue is one of those things I think people get really nervous about, but I hate to tell you, it looks beautiful, it looks fussy, but you really can't do this wrong, I think. 90 grams of egg whites. Go right in here. And then I've got 185 grams of powdered sugar. You know, I really like to sift the powdered sugar because you can end up with big chunks, so we'll sift that into here. Especially if you have any humidity, it can be a little problematic. So in it goes. And of course, I've got a little bit of salt. I'll just dump that right in. Help this along with this. You can probably get away without doing this, but I just think it's a good practice to sift. I don't know if you can see all the chunks we've gotten there. You don't want that in your meringue at the end. And sometimes you get a little surprise, something that won't go through. All right, so this, I don't like to use lots of tools, so I'll just use the whip that I'm going to use a little bit later. Less dishes, always a good thing. Nobody likes to do the dishes when they're cooking. And we'll mix this up, and it kind of turns into almost a paste. So we are going to make what is called a Swiss meringue. This goes on top of a double boiler, and we're going to heat this until it's pretty warm to the touch. You want to stir the whole time, or else you can end up with a really kind of yucky, sweet scrambled egg or scrambled egg white omelet. Nothing good there. What you're trying to do when you're heating this up is you're changing the proteins a little bit. You're going to get a nice, stable meringue. You're also dissolving the sugar and the salt into the egg whites. So let that do its thing, and we'll stir our lime cream as well. So there's 3 different kinds of meringues. There's French meringue, there's Swiss meringue, and there's Italian meringue. Each one is sort of the same thing, but cooked differently. So Swiss meringue, you warm up your egg whites and the sugar over a double boiler. For an Italian meringue, you make a sugar syrup, you have frothing egg whites, and then you drizzle that into your egg whites. And a French meringue, you take cold whites, regular old sugar, and start whipping them. Each one is good for different things. A French meringue is a lot less stable. If you're it's generally what you put on top of a lemon meringue pie, and it sometimes starts to weep and you have the sugar coming out. Nice thing about this is that doesn't happen. The egg whites hold on to that sugar, it doesn't get weepy. You can brulee this. People often use Italian meringue in a buttercream. It makes a good buttercream. I like to make Swiss meringue buttercream. This is my preferred way of doing it. It's just easy. I don't like to take temperatures, and when you're making an Italian meringue, you have to make sure you have the right temperature for your sugar syrup. All right, see it's starting to get dissolved. We have got a nice looking paste. I'm going to stick my finger in here. It's starting to warm up. I want it to be slightly uncomfortable to my fingers, although I have a feeling that temperature has changed over the years because I think my fingers get more and more burned and I don't feel much at all anymore. Okay. Any questions so far? No? All right. I think we're there. So, got a nice hot bath. This is going to go on the KitchenAid mixer. This is a great bowl. You can see everything that's happening inside. Now I see why they wanted me to attach it beforehand. Oh. There we go. Where are we? Okay. So the last thing you want to do is go all the way to the fastest speed. We're going to go to about 6. It goes all the way up to 10, maybe 6, even 8. And we're going to let our meringue take its time a little bit. The slower you whip a meringue, to an extent, the smaller the bubbles you end up with in the meringue, and it's more stable. Just makes it easier to work with. If you whip the heck out of it really fast and really hard, sometimes it can lose volume when you start working with it. And everything about meringue is volume, working as much air into that as you possibly can. So take your time. We'll go up to 8 here now. And we'll watch this increase in volume. In the meantime, try to get this going. All right, I can turn off this, I can turn that one off, get that out of the way. So this lime cream is a little different than any other lime cream because we are adding lemongrass to it. And if you've ever worked with lemongrass, you know the bright sort of floral, citrusy flavor that it brings. Lemongrass comes in big long sticks about this long, and it's really, feels almost like bamboo. It's very, very fibrous. And what you want to do when you're dealing with lemongrass is you take the back of your knife and you're going to bruise the heck out of it. And while you're doing that, you're kind of breaking up some of the fibers and you're releasing all those essential oils and yummy flavors. So you bruise the heck out of it, and then you're going to cut it very finely against the grain. So just straight across. Similar to ginger, you always want to cut it against the grain so you don't end up with long strings in your final baked good, or savory cooking for that matter. I really like to add lemongrass to lime pastries, to lemon pastries. It just adds a lot of sort of that same citrusy flavor, but people can't quite place what it is. So it's a nice surprise. All right, so we've got about a good tablespoon of the lemongrass here, and we're going to add that to our lime cream. Sounds good. Give that a stir, and as this heats up, all that flavor is going to release into the cream itself. It's starting to thicken. So this is very similar to a curd, if you've ever made a curd, except for we are going to add a whole bunch of butter at the end. We're going to emulsify that butter in when it's not smoking hot, so that the butter really emulsifies in it. We don't want it to melt. We want it to go in and not separate, I guess. All right, what do we have going on here? Still working. Some more of that. We're also going to add some lime zest. We're going to add about a tablespoon of lime zest. If you don't have a microplane at home, get one. It's the best thing ever. If I go to my parents' house and I try to cook, I can't believe they don't have one of these. My mom was cutting lime zest off the lime and then chopping it up and cutting it this way. This, if you have a good sharp one, is just so easy. All the flavor right here, the essence of lime. I like to add some sort of zest to almost all of our recipes. Orange, lime, grapefruit, lemon. Really brings a lot to the table. When you're zesting, you want to make sure that you don't press too hard. You don't want the white part underneath the skin. You just want the skin and the essential oils that are in there. The white part can get a little bit on the bitter side. All right, that goes in as well. For the meringue, I've gone ahead and traced a circle on the back of a piece of parchment paper. this helps you make sure that you're going to get the right size. So this is what we'll end up with in the end. And at the bakery, we always trace a circle and then pipe within those lines. Sometimes you can spread a little bit, but then you're sure to have it fit on your board, or you measure it out to make sure it's good for your platter. Also, 9 inches is generally a good size for 8 to 12 servings for something like this. So we've got that traced. And here, our oven should be set to 325 degrees. And once this comes out, once this gets nice and to a firm peak, we'll be able to place it on here, spread it out with a spatula, and get it right in the oven. It's getting there. It's taking its time today. This is thickening up nicely now. So you want to keep stirring because, of course, it's going to cook around the outside first. And if you leave it, it'll be raw in the middle and cooked on the outside. So you want to stir off and on the whole time. But don't worry about it too much because we are going to pass it through a sieve. So if we have any overcooked egg bits, they're going to come out and we'll end up with the good stuff on this side. The great thing about Swiss meringue is you really can't over whip it. I think that's something that people get worried about with a French meringue. If you whip it too far, then it kind of separates into a mess. But with a Swiss meringue, you could leave this on all day. Say you're not ready to use it, turn it low. As long as it keeps spinning, you have meringue until you're ready for it. Which is not how you usually think of meringue. I'm used to much bigger batches. Seems like it's taking longer for a small batch. All right, I'm gonna give it a quick test. It doesn't look like it's quite ready, but, oh yeah. So you can see it's still pretty soft. All right, we're getting close. I'm gonna place a bet that this is gonna be ready at the same time that's ready. Just to give me a run for my money up here. For this, we're gonna add some blueberries and some toasted coconut to garnish this, but you could always use raspberries or strawberries or nothing really. I think this lime curd stands on its own, but it's always nice to have some pretty color. Red or blue. And the flavors go nicely. I love coconut with lime and I love coconut with blueberries, so it's a good mix. You also know it's ready when it's cooling off. Not much heat left there, so it should be about ready. Here we go. Handle's getting hot on that. Just a little longer. We're almost there. So we make these at the bakery as well, usually in individual sizes. And then for the holidays, we'll be making them in large sizes. If you don't have this recipe, I'd be happy to send it to you via email. Just shoot an email to cafe@floreal.com and we can make sure you get it. Starting to look good. It's starting to kind of cling to the whisk a little bit, and I'm seeing the trails from the whisk as it turns, which means it's thickening up. This, I'm gonna turn down, that way, because it's about ready as well. All right, one last test on this. I can almost guarantee it's ready. Sticking up, so that's good. That's a good way to test your meringue, to make sure it's whipped enough before you take it off the bowl. So, this is when things get sticky and messy. This stuff, you could build a house with it, I think. All right, so we're gonna get everything that we have. I'm gonna put it in the center of this circle that I've drawn. And it goes. It's got a nice shine to it. That means our ratio to sugar to egg whites is good. Looks nice and silky and delicious. All right. So this, you could also flavor it with any spices, really. This has just a little vanilla and the salt and the sugar, but you could add ginger. You could even add cocoa powder. You can swirl it through. It looks really beautiful. I've seen people even take raspberry powder, so you know those freeze-dried raspberries, grind them up and then just kind of swirl that in as well. Those freeze-dried fruits are great for applications like this. You get so much flavor without any sort of wetness. Okay, so did you see me spread that out? Really simple. You don't have to worry about it a bunch. We're gonna put everything on top of it so any blemishes are totally hidden. All right, this goes right into the oven. We're gonna bake it for about 20 minutes. All right, that's that. This you could make a day ahead if you wanted. On a humid day, you might not want to make it a day ahead. It might get a little bit sticky. But a day like this, actually it's pretty humid today, isn't it? Most of the time you don't have to worry about it too much. Okay, so our lime cream looks good. I'm gonna pull this off. There's no more water left in there. That is not a good thing for a pot. This is gonna get passed into here. If you don't have a super fine strainer like this, you could use something like this. You want the finest possible so that you get rid of most of those lime pieces and the lemongrass. The lemongrass can be really kind of chewy. You really don't want it in there after it's cooked. Okay, in it goes. This is also a place where the lime zest is really pretty when it's fresh, but once you cook it, it kind of turns the color of an avocado. Not the most beautiful thing either, so you just want to get rid of that. You can always add more as a garnish once you're done with this. So here's a trick. If you have one of these great strainers at home, use a ladle, and you can just go like this, and the cream goes right through. If you use the spatula, you'll be here 3 times as long. I don't know how long it took me to learn that, but it was the revelation. When you're doing lots and lots of creams, it's nice to get it through quickly. All right. We don't want to waste any of that good stuff. Place this over here. Okay, so we have the cream, and I told you there's a lot of butter that goes in here, and I'm going to show you how much butter it is. This much butter goes in. Seems a little crazy, but it is delicious. If you've ever had our passion fruit tart at the bakery or our lemon cream tart, it's roughly the same recipe, and I'm telling you, the butter is what makes it. So Now you know. I hope you still come back. Oh, this is 350 grams of butter. So a pound is 453, so nearly a pound of butter. So I've got this cut in pretty large pieces. You want the butter to be relatively cold. This is on the, this is pretty hot still, but we're gonna use the butter to take the temperature down, and we're gonna immersion blend it. This is one piece of equipment I think everyone should have in their kitchen. I use it savory, sweet, all the time. You can even make smoothies with it if you're feeling really lazy and don't wanna get out the blender. So, piece by piece, we're gonna add this in. Maybe. Gets a lot of use, that's why. I'm striking out with this guy today. It's mine from home. Oh. It is KitchenAid though.
It is.
So you could do this in a blender as well, but you just would add each piece of butter through the top. I was doing sweet one. Look at that. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Haha. But now I'm tight over here. Okay. Yeah, this one sounds better.
What are you doing?
I don't know. Maybe I just don't have the touch with this.
Did you have coffee this morning?
Oh, too much maybe. That might be it. I don't live without coffee. I spend half my life up early, so. All right. So you can see the colors starting to change. It's going to lighten up. It used to be the kind of like a fluorescent yellow. Now we're going to get it to a kind of a creamy pale yellow. Something that's really fun to do is make this exact cream with blood orange. So you get that bright kind of pink color. You can't use all blood orange, it's not acidic enough, but you can use probably half. And then the rest lemon juice or lime juice. There we go. We're getting there. So if you don't use all this cream on in your pavlova, you can save a little bit, spread it on toast. It's really, really tasty. You can always add some more butter to that toast before you put this on. Put this on ice cream. It's good. Fill cookies with it. I think it's super versatile. Holds pretty well in the fridge. Of course, you could fill tarts with it as well. You can make a lemon tart, pre-bake a lemon pie shell and fill it. It might be a little too rich, but my feeling about richness is you indulge occasionally, so might as well make it worth it. Okay, and this is European style butter, so higher fat content than regular American style butter, and it is unsalted. You could probably get away with using salted butter if you really wanted to. I just would not add any salt to your original cream. Okay. We're gonna speed this along a little bit. I told you at the beginning that I have a sheet tray in the freezer, already chilled. So whenever you're trying to cool something down quickly, surface area is your friend. If I just put this in there, this will take a lot longer to chill than if I spread it all out and have lots of surface area. So, nice cold metal is also your friend because it conducts the temperature better than plastic or something along those lines. So, just a nice clean sheet. This turned out really nicely. I missed one little chunk of butter, but we're not going to cry about that. Just pick it out. And then this will pop in the freezer for a couple minutes. Thank you. To cool it down. All right. We are whipping through this. All right, done with that. We need to make whipped cream because we need cream. I think I've got another whip over here. I do. All right, so we're just gonna make whipped cream. This is about 2 cups of cream. In it goes. You can add sugar to this, but I think you've got a lot of sugar in the base. You've got a lot of sugar in the cream itself, so there's no need to really add sugar to the cream. Let's keep the cream unsweetened. We're gonna add a little bit of vanilla to the cream. Why not? We've got it. Same holds true for the whipped cream. We're not gonna speed it along too fast. We're gonna let it go a little bit slower. Have you ever whipped? That's the wrong one. Okay. You won't.
But it's wrong.
Yeah, it looks really big.
It does.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you, thank you. All right, so too many things. All right, so we'll go about 6 or 8 on this again. So whipped cream, have you ever whipped cream and it gets kind of gritty and not really nice looking? That just means you've over whipped it. Or maybe it's a hot day, your cream was a little bit too warm, your bowl wasn't chilled down. When you're working with cream, you want to keep it cold, keep everything cold, and then whip it. You don't want to just let it sit out for a long time, I guess. I like to under whip, then put it in the fridge, and then when I need it, I can just hit it with a whisk really quickly and put it on. But once you've over whipped it, you either have to start over again. Sometimes you can get away with adding a little bit of cold cream to it and stirring very gently, and you get a nice smooth cream again. But there's so much over whipped cream in this world, I feel like I don't want to see any more of it. All right, so we will pretend like this just came out of the oven. This is the Pavlova shell. Now it has kind of a hard exterior, but on the inside it's a little bit more marshmallowy. So it's a great texture. It's a little bit chewy, a little bit crispy at the same time. And what I like to do is add a little surprise at the bottom of any pastry. It's always nice to have a surprise in there that maybe you didn't know was there. So we're gonna add a handful of blueberries. And like I said, raspberries would be fine. If you don't have fresh fruit, frozen fruit would work fine here as well. And we'll add a little bit of this coconut too. And then we'll use some of that as a garnish as well once we move through everything. Look at that, that was fast. Whew, I almost over whipped it. So the whipped cream, still pretty soft. And I'll show you when I scoop it out what it's gonna look like. Now we're gonna hope that our lime cream is ready. Oh yeah, cools off so fast if you pre-cool this plate, so that's great. All right, yeah, it's set up quite nicely. Now, what we're gonna do is, not the best tool for this, but we'll make it work. Depends how much you want to have on here, but you've got quite a bit. Cover it nicely. This is something you don't really want to put together too far in advance because the cream will soften the meringue and eventually it'll just kind of fall apart. So you're talking a couple hours before you serve is probably the max that you want to put this together. All right, that's enough of that. Lots of flavor in there. And then we're going to take some of this whipped cream. I can do this. You guys are the best. Thank you, thank you. All right, this is the perfect tool for that. Thank you. So take our whipped cream, and I always like a little bit of the other cream to show underneath so you have different colors here. And I effectively over-whipped this cream, but we'll make it look pretty all the same. All right. So we want it to look like a cloud, so don't be afraid of making it look a little bit messy. Doesn't have to be perfectly smooth, because now we're gonna take some coconut. These are the big coconut flakes. I think they're so pretty. And we can put some around here, and it's nice if it gets on the platter as well. Looks like you made it at home. And these coconut just fell from the sky, landed perfectly on here. And then blueberries. Surprise. And there we have it. Wasn't too tough. I think you all could make it at home. If you don't want to, you can come to the bakery. All right, any questions? Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh,
What size eggs do you recommend?
we use large eggs, but at home I have chickens, so my chicken eggs are all different sizes. It's, you know, some recipes are really fussy with the size egg that you use, but for the most part, I feel like baking, they say it's a science, but really you can get away with a lot more than they make you think. Don't be scared of, if you don't have the right size eggs, just go for it. Add an extra one, hold a little bit back.
Go buy those chickens.
Best eggs. I won't eat eggs anywhere else now.
Just checking, the meringue has eggs, salt, and sugar.
Yes, I forgot to put the vanilla in it.
Okay.
Vanilla is not necessary, but and it's just really a pinch of salt, sea salt. Anything else? I wish I could serve this to you, but
Hold on.
okay. Oh
Yeah.
gosh. Oh, perfect.
Can the pavlova be frozen?
I've never tried that. I've never tried freezing it. I still think that you would end up with sort of a weepy meringue, and everything would get really, really soft. Also, freezers are like a very humid place, it seems like. So I would say you could freeze the meringue separately from the filling, and you might be able to get away with that. Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, absolutely. All right. I'm free.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Another round of applause. Chef Sandra Holl. You could go to the Floreal Cafe and Bakery, 1220 West Webster Avenue, right here in Chicago, in Lincoln Park,
Oh my gosh.
1 block west of Racine. So make sure you head on over there. You can also go to floreal.com, FLORIOLE, or go follow on.